I ran across this article on soundings trade only, which is called an existential threat to the marine industry. The NMMA, which is the National Marine Manufacturers Association, is calling on every industry employee and stakeholder to oppose a federal proposal that would slow many East Coast boats to just 10 knots. Numerous marine groups are organizing a whole-of-industry response to a proposed federal rule that would require East Coast boats as small as 35 feet to cruise no faster than 10 knots in widespread speed restriction zones. We're ramping up to activate the industry response to this threat. It's unprecedented. It's massive regulatory overreach. It's a huge consumer safety issue, National Marine Manufacturers Association President and CEO Frank Helgemeyer told Soundings Trade Only in late September. We will do whatever we have to do to prevent this from going into place, including legal action. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration announced the proposed rule as an effort to protect endangered North Atlantic right whales from vessel strikes. The proposed rule was published August 1st in the Federal Register. NOAA Fisheries says the announcement continued a process that began at least as far back as January 2021 with an assessment report about a previous rule's effectiveness, in addition to articles it had published and social media posts it had made about the topic. The newly proposed speed restriction regions would be in effect from November 1st until May 30th in the Atlantic zone that stretches as far north as Massachusetts. From April 1st to June 30th in the Great South Channel zone east of there. From November 1st to April 30th in the North Carolina zone. From November 1st to April 15th in the South Carolina zone. And from November 15th to April 15th in the Southeast zone that includes parts of Florida. Previously, the zones were far narrower and did not affect boats smaller than 65 feet. Under the newly proposed rule, power and sailboats from 35 to 65 feet would have to reduce speed to 10 knots or less, unless there was a threat to health, safety, or life of a person on board, or a National Weather Service warning was issued for winds of gale force or greater. Boats that exceed 10 knots without these conditions being present would have to file a report within 48 hours stating the reason they cruised faster. According to a spokeswoman for NOAA, its Office of Law Enforcement could use techniques such as patrols, electronic vessel monitoring, and criminal and civil investigations to enforce compliance. After the proposed rule was published in early August, many boaters and industry organizations immediately cried foul and said they were blindsided by the details, which Hugelmeyer called an existential threat to the industry. The caption under the picture states, "Since 1998, there have been 24 known North Atlantic right whale vessel strikes across 10 states. Of those, 8 were attributed to boats from 35 to 65 feet, says Viking Yachts. The industry would be truly decimated if this goes into effect," he says. A 10-knot speed limit for almost all of the coast for most of the year, nobody will keep their boats. In our 58-year history, with more than 5,000 boats delivered, we have never had a report of our boats having an encounter with a right whale, Viking President and CEO Pat Healy said. And we would know because it would cause significant damage and would have to be repaired by us. NOAA Fisheries acknowledges that the proposed changes would be significant, but says that they are necessary to protect the whales from vessel collisions. The species has dwindled to fewer than 350 whales, NOAA Fisheries says, and cannot recover if humans cause even one death or serious injury on average each year. If we thought that there was one key area we were seeing a lot of strikes during one season, we'd have focused just on that, but it's not what we're seeing, says Caroline Good, marine mammal ecologist with the Office of Protective Resources at NOAA Fisheries. We have a problem that is coast-wide and covers large swaths of the year. Chris Edmondson, Vice President of Public Affairs at Boats US, joined Hugelmeyer and dozens of organizations, including the American Sport Fishing Association, Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation and Marine Retailers Association of the Americas in sending a letter to NOAA Fisheries on August 22nd, citing the complete lack of coordination with affected industry and warning that the proposed rule would affect thousands of recreational vessels, marinas, and tackle shops. Following that letter, NOAA Fisheries extended the public comment period on its proposal rule by 1 month to October 31st. As of late September, Hulameyer was urging not just every marine company, but also every employee within every company and every boat owner on the East Coast to submit comments opposing the proposed rule. Every employee in the entire industry needs to respond to this to protect their jobs and protect their industry, he says. We already know of $8 million worth of sales that have been lost because of the threat of this rule. The clients are waiting to buy these boats until they see what happens with this. Soundings trade-only readers have until October 31st to submit comments through the NMMA portal at boatingunited.org. Take action, NOAA vessel restrictions. You can see it on screen. After the October 31st public comment hearing ends, anyone opposing the rule is urged to contact their elected officials. It's a Democratic administration. Well, the rest of the article just kind of goes off on contact your elected officials, get everybody getting together to fight this rule. They argue about the numbers and how many people or how many whales have been hit over the years and by smaller vessels, and the economic impact that this will have in the long run. Getting close to October 31st, the time I'm making this, but if you can and you're interested, get a hold of your elected officials and have your say put in. And 10 knots is pretty darn slow, not for a sailboat, but for some big power boats it is. I'll link to the article in the description, and you can read the full article yourself. It's rather long, but I just thought it was interesting, and this kind of reminds me of government overreach, of what we're probably going to be facing, administrative government overreach. So it really is our preview to fight this type of thing, and these made-up laws for, going to hurt, some bug in the Pacific Ocean. Who knows? I appreciate you watching this video, and I will catch you on the next video. Thanks.